Hi everyone, it's Heidi here from flutterbyheidi.co.uk. I'm Heidi Smith, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the United Kingdom, and today I'm talking celebration. So this is the time of year when you get free stuff with your purchases. So for every £45 that or multiples of 45 that you spend with me and Stampin' Up, you get to choose some free goodies. And during January and February there's a mixture of stamp sets and designer series paper, and today I wanted to share some of the designer series paper called Flower and Field. So if you spend £45, this is one of the items you can choose, and you get 12 sheets of 12 by 12 paper. I've just got a sample here of a cut into 6 by 4, and you can see gorgeous floral designs on this one, and then the kind of floral designs on one side, and then the kind of more generic designs, I usually sort of call them, on the reverse. So as you can see, lovely sort of flowers there. I think that's probably one of my favourites. I personally love when there's a nice bright pop of colour. Love this bumblebee paper on the reverse. Lovely flowers and some cherry cobbler and flirty flamingo. So lovely colours. You've got bumblebee, cherry cobbler, flirty flamingo. There's some granny apple green in there. A bit of misty moonlight, just jade. I mean, all sorts, pinks and greens, and go with all sorts of things. So that's one of the things you can choose. I'm also sharing with you this lovely stamp set that's available in the new January and June catalogue. Comes with a coordinating punch, which punches out the strawberry, the leaf, the little it isn't the stamen, but it's a little bit on top, and it also punches out this small flower. Then the big flower coordinates with our small bloom punch as well. Lovely strawberry flower design and some super sentiments. So that's one of the items that is in the new January to June catalogue. I'm just using the sentiment for that to make these two cards. So these are what I call my scrap buster type cards. The sort of card that you can, you come to the end of a pack, or you find you've got lots of little bits. These are great for that. And I'm just showing that sort of the range of colours really. So you can see this one's on a flirty flamingo base. And we've got the tag topper, the fancy tag topper, which, although it's not designed to take the narrow ones with the channels, I've marked mine up so that you can use it to make smaller channels. I've used some new ribbon in the Floral Art Suite, which is this lovely kind of fine art gold, hint of gold ribbon, which I rather like because it's not a solid gold. I've used some of the in colour enamel dots on this one. Some pearls on this one, but these are great cards to have in your stash, and can be rustled up, I say, in next to no time, with a bit of dimension with those dimensionals. And I've used the lovely labels Pick a Punch to create the ends on these banners. So that's what I'm going to do today, and I'll sort of just run through those as we go along. So I thought, as we've got some cherry cobbler in there, and I've kind of gone for pink, I've gone for green, so I thought we'd perhaps go for one of the reddish colours. I've just created a standard card base. So this is 5 3/4 by 8 1/4, 14.5 by 21 centimetres, and scored in half at 4 1/8 or 10.5 to make our standard 10-fold card. Because it's dark coloured cardstock, I'm using a layer of Whisper White to go on the inside of my card, and you can either leave that blank or you could stamp on it as well, just to kind of give it a bit of interest. You're also going to need a scrap of Whisper White for the front, and the Whisper White, oh gosh, it's about 1 3/8 by, I'm going to say, kind of 2 inches-ish. Let me have a look. Yeah, 1 3/8 by 2 inches, and then a scrap to create your label, which is 3.5 by 1.5 inches. Okay. So, and what I've done is I've just chosen this piece here. I thought I'd use the floral sort of design on this one, the bigger floral on that one, and then the cherry cobbler one as a complementary colour. And you can change the look quite a bit by which piece you put in the middle as well. And all I do is I just put my scraps as I get them into just a little packet, so I've got scraps ready to hand whenever I want to use them. So let's start by creating our tag topper. So I just mark up on my tag topper where those sort of a 1/4 inch from either side, and I also try and have a look and see if I try and mark up on the underneath as well. But if you have a look at any of these punches, you can quite easily see where the middle is. But I say, if you're struggling with a sort of a narrower piece at all, this one, you see, I'm putting it between those two marks at the end. And there you go. You've got a nice little tab there. And say, with longer ones, I mark them up here. With shorter ones, I tend to mark up on my my piece on the inside. So I'll pop that punch away. So there's our label, there's our piece, and what I'm using is the Happy Birthday You Sweet thing from the Sweet Strawberry stamp set. Again, I've said it before, I do like a stamp set where I've got both images and sentiments, and especially these fun ones as well. So I'll just ink that up with a bit of cherry cobbler and pop that in the middle there. And then depending on what I'm, what I'm using, I will either add some pearls or enamel dots. So I've actually just got a few pearls here which are left over from one of our card kits, and then you can just add a little bit of a smudge there. So opportunity for embellishment, always add those onto the front. I'm making a really good job of making that look really difficult. Right. And let's have another one. There we go. So I'm just going to add some little pearls and then add that onto the front of our label, just with some dimensionals. On something that size, then probably the larger dimensionals will work. You just sort of need one on each edge. You don't need to cover the whole back with dimensionals. I always say this, usually one in each corner, one in the middle. My general mantra. And then just centralise that, hopefully, on there. Okay. So now we want to create, having created our card base, the next thing we want to do is create the DSP layers to go on the front there. So with that, I'm going to use my trimmer. I'm just going to cut some strips of paper. And I'm going to also cut a scrap of card about sort of 1 inch wide to go behind it, to give us something to give it a bit of body. Slightly wider than 1 inch, that one, but that'll do fine. So that's what I'm going to attach my strips to. As I said, grab some of my paper, decide what you're going to do. I'm going to have a mixture of those. Now the pieces of the strips of paper are all just 1 inch wide, so that's where I'm going to start with my pieces of paper. And what I want is 4 inch, 3.5 inch and 3 inches. So decide which one's going to be your central one. I'm probably going to go for the this DSP, so it's a sort of bold design. So I'm going to cut that at 1 inch. And then just trim that down to 4 inches. Might actually, I'm just having a look so I get some of the cherry cobbler in there. So there's my central strip. I'm then going to have this sort of smaller floral pattern. So I want a couple of strips of that. Again, both at 1 inch. And I'll do those at 3.5 inches. So I'm just coming down in 1/2 inch increments on each of those. And you can just play around with the patterns until you're happy with them. And then I'll probably put this on the outside as well. I'm just going to measure that. Is that 2 inches? It is. So if I just line it up in the middle, in fact, take it down to 3 inches first, and then line that up in the middle. Now with this one, because I've cut it on the other side and the opposite on my other cuts, what I want to do now is just use my bone folder on that outer edge just to flatten where the blade will have. It just leaves like a slightly raised edge. So depending on what you've done before, you might find that. So there we go, we've got our pattern. So obviously you can play around with those. You know, you might decide that actually, yeah, the other way around is preferable, in which case just run your bone folder down those edges, keep them nice and smooth. So there we've got our basic sort of pattern. And as I say, you can just play around until you're happy with it. My squeaky chair. And then come in with your punch, and these are the 1 inch, so 2.5 centimetres, and decide which one you're going to use. On that one I'm probably a touch wide, probably because it perhaps was just over the 2 inches. And if you're not sure if you're square, always just turn it over and just make sure you line it up. It's great when if you haven't got it 100% as I didn't there, and you want to make sure it's absolutely right in the channel, because what you're doing is making sure that that is coming into the end. Okay. And then just say repeat. This one of course is fine because I've cut it. It's that one where I cut it in half that I'd obviously just left it. And obviously if you wanted to, you could vary by using the other tag topper. On this punch, I probably prefer the kind of slightly squarer end. I don't know why, it's like everything, isn't it? It's personal preference. But I find that the pointed one I like when I'm layering it on top for banners, for sentiments. But if I'm just doing just banners, I quite like this squared off one. Oh yes, I am on camera. That's just as well, isn't it, really? Okay, so there we go. Got a little pile of cuttings. Clip our punch closed, and now we're ready to start creating that. So this piece of card I've got is probably about 5 inches in width, so that will work. And all I'm going to do is just add some glue onto the centre there. And this is where my grid paper comes in really useful, because I just find that if I kind of roughly centre that, and that just helps get that first one lined up. And using the wet glue gives us a bit of wiggle room. And obviously if you do get any slight seepage, as you'll see I've just got a tiny bit oozing through there, then it doesn't matter, because just make sure that's lined up. You can just see those aren't quite square, so I'm just going to just tweak that. There we go. And then the final one, just hold that down while you sort of butt up to the edge there. Again, same on this side. Sorry, I was saying if you get any slight seepage, that's going to be covered up by your ribbon, so you don't need to worry about it. So next you can come in with your ribbon, and you just want enough to kind of wrap around on each side slightly. So probably 6 inches at most. I'm trying to be good and pin my ribbon back in place once I've used it. And this is a nice wide ribbon, so just pop it through. What I am going to do though is just pop a little bit of Stampin' Seal on the back there, preferably without picking my ribbon up with my glue tape runner. So just roughly halfway, and don't pull it too tight straight away. Again, what you just want to do is just put that reasonably sort of square through there, so you get your nice ribbon, and that little bit of tape will just hold it in place, so that when you come to attach it, and obviously hopefully this is now attached. Again, what I'm actually going to do is glue that in place on the front first. Again, a bit of dimension. Now, obviously, if you wanted to leave this flatter for posting, then you might want to just, you know, keep the dimensionals off. Just take an extra layer, and then just centre that, and you'll see it just lines up nicely. And then you can flip that over and just add a bit of tape to the reverse. And so I said, you don't need to be 100% precise about the length of that. And so, you know, 4 3/4, 5 inches, as long as you don't go longer than that. So there we have our ribbon. Again, just tweak that if you need to get it level. But that's now reasonably sturdy for us actually to add our dimensionals to the back and add it onto the front of our card. Now with this, what I did do was, because it's DSP, which obviously is flimsier than our card, I have put a dimensional on the cards, on each, or a scrap of dimensional, depending on what I've got, on each end of the DSP strips, just because it makes it sit nicer. So because I've got one on each end, I'm just going to pop one in the middle to give that support, and then one on the other end as well. And that's ready to go onto the front of the card. Take all those backs off. So it's kind of quite, for me, quite dimensional heavy. I don't normally use these many dimensionals. But of course the beauty of the Stampin' Up dimensionals is because they're pre-cut, it's so easy to pop a layer on. You could of course use a strip of the double-sided foam if you wanted to. You know, just put a strip down each side. That would work as well. And then, as usual, open up your card, pop your layer on, centre that. All that remains is to pop our layer on the inside, and you could use whatever stamp you wanted. But there you have some really quick and fun cards using our lovely new Flower and Field Celebration DSP, coordinating with some of our other new stamp sets. So this one, Happy Birthday Your Sweet Thing, is one you can buy. This one, You Always Have a Way of Making My Day, is actually another free stamp set. Subscribe to my channel. I'll be doing more videos which will showcase that lovely Berry Blessings stamp set as well. Thanks for watching. Come back soon. Bye.